One of the biggest challenges we have with the OMS diet, especially if you're just starting out, are those voids that you get during the day, and how do you fill those voids? What kind of snack do you have? So I'd like to show the recipe I like to make to help me with those particular urges that come across during the day. And so I'd like to just make a granola bar. This particular one is a raw granola bar. It's nice and chewy, full of nutrition. And I keep it raw, even though I put it in a dehydrator for probably about 12 hours or so. But if you don't have a dehydrator, not a problem. You can keep it 100% raw. You can even pop it in the oven for a few minutes if you'd like that little crunchy exterior, but we'll talk about that in a bit. These are the ingredients that we're going to go with. The key is the dates. The dates at the beginning create sort of the glue that holds everything together. It adds the sweetness, but also that stickiness. These need to be soft, so if you're working with dates that are a little bit on the hard side already, just go ahead and soak them in cold water for an hour or two until they soften up and make sure they're drained really well before we process them. We have a sweetener. We're going to use some maple syrup here, although you can use anything that's sort of liquid. Agave syrup works fine. The butter that we're using is an almond butter. You can use something like cashew butter as well. It's very nice, adds a little bit of a different complexity. These are rolled oats, which are very common in, of course, the granola aspect. You could change these out as you wish. And in the back, just to add the different flavorings, we have some just whole almonds here that have been peeled, and we just ground them up a bit. You can keep them fairly fine, or you can keep them a little bit chunky. It's sort of your decision on that. The cranberries are really lovely. They add a nice sweetness. You can substitute raisins or add raisins in addition to the cranberries. It's quite flexible. And then, of course, to finish it off, we have some dried chopped up figs. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to put all this together. It doesn't take very long to do. So why don't we just go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and get these dates into the machine and begin the processing. I just use a normal food processor for this. Get them all in here. It doesn't take very long. Depending on the speed and the power of your food processor, what you need to do is periodically scrape the sides because they'll tend to bunch up here. And what you're looking for when they're done is it'll tend to ball up. It'll get sort of like a bread dough consistency and kind of form sort of a ball here and go around the machine. That's your cue that you've blended them enough. Right, so that's about what we're looking for here. They kind of balled up a little bit, and it's a really nice, moist consistency, and that's really the perfect start to these granola bars. Get this bowl off. Now I just put them in you can use any size dish that you wish. You just don't want them too high. Something about this size is perfect, and you want to give it a good lining with some cling film plastic wrap, and just go ahead and get that prepared, and get a bowl out, and we'll start making the mixture. We're going to go with the sweetener first. The actual order doesn't really matter 100%. Sometimes it's a little easier to get some of the more liquid ingredients in here to mix with the dates before adding the dried. It's just really a matter of going ahead and mixing everything together. We'll start getting the rest of these ingredients in here. Put our oats in, get our almonds in, go ahead and get our fruit in. And I always very much like at the end just giving it a pinch of salt. I think that adds just a nice little a bit of seasoning into these granola bars. It's one of those things that it's not so necessary, but you'll notice if they're not there. Let me just kind of mix this together. It will feel a little bit firm, and it sort of softens up with the time as you keep mixing it. Good. Once you get the mixture all done, everything sort of well mixed, we're just going to simply just put everything right in here. So, just a little tip now, to smoothen these out and to really smash it down, it's really nice to have a little bowl of water on hand. Maybe get your hands a little bit moist, and whatever tool you're using here to flatten them out. And just really push it into each of the corners. Really getting it in here nice and tight, nice and firm. We can take our little tool here. And I think it's a good idea to give it a really nice smooth topping. Right, once you're happy with the smooth aspect of the top of the granola here and everything is in place, in theory they're done. That's all there is to it. I would recommend popping them in the freezer for about 15 minutes to harden them up a little bit before turning them over, and then going ahead and portioning them in any shape really that you want. At that point, you can either pack them up, keep them, or do what I did and go ahead and put them in a dehydrator like I did with these earlier. Now I did it at 47 degrees centigrade for about 12 hours, and they look like this, with a little bit of a shiny top, a little bit of a crunch, and really quite delicious, almost like store-bought granola bars, only much healthier. Alternatively, you could pop them in the oven and bake them, but I kind of prefer them this way. And really all there is left to do is go ahead and eat one.